Hello, my name is Wesley Hara. I'm the Engineering Student Organization Coordinator. I'm going to talk a little bit about space use by student organizations in the school. I should say it should read space use in the school by student organizations and the application process for this upcoming year. Okay, all right. So one thing to note is, as you may probably already know, space in the school is a finite resource and everyone is trying to vie for that space, okay? Historically, it's been a challenge to accommodate everyone's needs and everyone needs to do their part. A couple of years ago, the associate deans went in and took back lab space from faculty. And so, the student organization leaders are nowhere near a special population of people that, we enforce this with. Everybody needs to help us with that, okay? The goal is to enable as many people to do their activities as possible with, the finite resources that we have, okay? The space use application is something that happens every 2 years, and we are in that year, okay? So all organizations who want space, and that includes all of you that already occupy space in the school, must apply, okay? That's written 3 times here, okay? So we have not finalized yet the application for space use, but I can provide you with some general guidance and timeline, okay? So on December 7th from 6 to 7 p.m., I will be hosting an application info session on Zoom, okay? And so if you want to learn more about the application process, please make sure that you calendar this and attend that info session, okay? By that date, I should have the application ready to go and it should go live the following day, okay? If you'd like to see what the application and form look like from 2022, you can click the link there, but I have provided some content on the next slide, okay? In winter of 2024, a faculty committee will be convened. And the request is that every single department send a faculty to work with us to try to figure out space need accommodations for our student organizations, okay? We do this, with the hope of being able to leverage both school resources as well as department resources for the student organizations. And in the last session, I was really impressed at how the faculty worked with one another, to consider the needs that were listed in the applications from the student organizations. It is, again, another important reason why your faculty advisor should be aware of what your space needs and your activities are, because then, when faculty try to decide on things, they kind of speak to each other about, what is needed. They're going to reach out to your advisor to ask for more specifics if there's, something that your organization really needs. And so, my recommendation is to make sure that your faculty advisor, and particularly this year, is aware of what it is that you do and what your needs are, okay? And so they'll decide on what the assignments are, and we will be announcing this hopefully at the Student Leaders Luncheon in spring, at which time we will be providing some information on what has to happen if any of the organizations are moving to a different room, or moving in or whatnot, okay? I do need to point out that if you're looking for a room in the Student Creativity Center, that space is prioritized for organizations who are engaged in technical design work only, okay? If we can accommodate those needs, then we will look at being able to provide space in the Student Creativity Center for other student organizations, okay? This has happened, currently our tenants, not all of our tenants are doing technical work, okay? But you need to know that the Student Creativity Center's purpose is for technical design work, and so the priority will be given to organizations who are engaged in some kind of technical work, in the Student Creativity Center, okay? All right, so here are some things that was included in the last cycle's application, and so we want to have a summary of your organization, who's going to occupy the space, that's listed as a separate bullet below. the list of the officers, name of your engineering faculty, and demographic information about your membership. You'll need to be able to pull that together for your annual report, so hopefully this won't be too difficult. We want to know all campus locations that your organization currently occupies. This is both space use as well as storage use. There are a number of lockers that are assigned to student organizations. So we want to know everything that you have, okay? We also want to know that, particularly for your the org's, we want to know if you have inquired with your faculty advisors department on whether or not the department can provide space for you. And we'd like to know what the outcome of that request was, okay? And then a list of all of the sub-organizations, design project teams that will utilize the space. We need to get an idea of what your space needs are. And so we want to know what activities will happen in the space, an explanation of your specific space needs. So in the last cycle, we were informed that there were 2 student organizations that required access to a sink. And so we tried to address that. So we want to know, if there's any specific needs that you have, okay? We also want to know the square footage of the space that you already occupy, okay? We may be asking you to distinguish between space used for activities versus space used for storage, okay? And then we also need to get a list of the tools, equipment, materials, and chemicals that you plan to use or store in that space, okay? Along with it, we also want to have some management plans. And so, particularly for those organizations who are doing technical work, we want to know about what your plans are to manage the equipment and access to your space, okay? So the first thing there is, what is your plan to manage access to your room, okay? How do students get to come in it? Who's going to have keys to access the room, right? What are the trainings that you're going to provide to your users, okay? We also want to know what your facilities management plan is. So what's your weekly cleaning and trash disposal plan? What is your quarterly annual purge to clean up space plan? Who is the person in your organization who's going to be responsible for handling that, okay? We also want to know what your emergency plan is. And, when an emergency happens is not the time to figure out what you should do. And so we want to know what your emergency plan is. And then also, all rooms that are occupied by student organizations can be requisitioned over the summer for school-wide programs and activities. And so we need to know what your summer storage plans are, okay? If you have any questions about these things, we can address them during the info session in December. Okay. So along with privileges come responsibility. In occupying space, student organization leaders should know that they're responsible for the safety of their membership while using their campus space, as well as their impact of the activities on the campus environment, okay? That includes like the actual facility, the environment of campus, as well as the people who are, in our community, okay? Student organization leaders are responsible for understanding, upholding, and disseminating information on campus and school policy as it relates to your space and activities that occur within them, okay? Student org leaders are also responsible for addressing any issues with the space provided to your organization and remedying those, okay? And all student organizations that occupy space in the School of Engineering must attend lab and space safety training, okay? All right, so that brings us to the end of the space use and space use application portion of the training, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.